our journey of 8 years, it really wasn't characterized by these huge mountaintop moments. It was really characterized by, I look back on God's continual faithfulness, day in, day out. That as we read his word, as we spend time in worship, as we spend time in community, that our minds really are renewed.
Yeah.
And that we really can be given faith and peace and strength. And then when those moments that are supernatural and very special occur, they come out of nowhere, and you're almost not expecting it, because you're walking in the presence of God, and he's revealing his love to you. But I remember being at Color Conference, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was attending. I had flown to Australia to receive. I think it's so important when we're in ministry to set aside time to receive, and to not just be always doing, but to spend time in community. And I was sitting there, and I hadn't shared anything about our infertility journey with people. And a woman sat next to me at conference. Her name was Olive. She's such an amazing woman of God. I didn't know her at the time, but now knowing her, she's a pillar in her church. And she was actually in a very desperate situation in her family. Her husband had been given an awful diagnosis and was fighting for his life at the moment. And she still got up that morning because God woke her up and said, I have 2 people for you to speak a word over. She went to conference. She happened to sit next to me. God set it up. And I'll never forget, Craig Rochelle was speaking, and he was speaking about fear. And there came a point where he said, turn to the person on your left and right and pray. Pray for them. And we began to pray for one another. I prayed for her husband, and she began to pray for me. And then she just started to speak life over me. Wow. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, you are going to travel the world preaching the gospel with a baby in one hand and a Bible in the other.
Wow.
And you know, there are just certain moments in life that take your breath away, because it's the kindness of God. And she didn't know anything about my story, but that became a picture in my heart of what God was able to do.
Yeah.
And the promise wasn't that for me from that moment forward, because I don't think the promise ever is a thing. I think the promise that we have to hold on to in our perspective as followers of Jesus is that Jesus is enough for me. You know, whatever happens. You and I came to that conclusion together, that whether we were going to have kids or not, that we were going to live a life full of purpose. We were going to live a life full of passion for Jesus. But it was a precious moment for me that I've looked back on so many days since and gone, I believe that with all my heart. Because I really feel like the infertility journey, it really is about perspective. And life is like that, right? Every situation in life, it's about perspective. The Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinks in her heart, so is she. So the lies the enemy throws of inadequacy or of a piece of womanhood missing, if I can understand in my heart who I truly am in God, no lie of the enemy can try to distort or destroy that. But it's all about our perspective. And, you know, I know the holidays are really tough. I remember you and I trying to start a family before any of our siblings had kids, and now going into it, you know, how many grandkids are there? Yeah. I think, you know, so many kids now born, grandkids, nieces, nephews, who are in school now, and they weren't even born when we first started trying. And I can understand the letters we get of, how do I handle the holidays? How do I handle baby showers? How do I handle the tough situations that cause pain?
Yeah, did you ever have like a moment of like jealousy or have a hard time celebrating others for their...
I think that it's a natural inclination to see what you so honestly desire and to go, man, why, God?
Yeah.
But I don't want to sound idealistic, but I'm going to be truthful to my journey. I felt very strongly that I couldn't compare. You know me, I love surprises. I love surprises. I love not knowing what's around the corner. And I felt like I had a picture from God of, you want what I've prepared for you, or do you want someone else's story?
That's great.
And I had to come to a place of expectancy, even when I walked into holidays or baby showers, of going, this is awesome, and I can celebrate their journey because it's not my journey. And God's got something for me.